Hello, viewers, artists, and all those alike, to tonight's special intro. I am your host, and I will be jumping into it. As you guys can see, that is the cover to a game called Blasphemous. It's a pixel art game that is set in a fictional place called Custodia, a land of religion, highly influenced by Roman Catholicism, its iconography, and Spanish culture, particularly that of Andalusia. Andalusia is a southernmost part of Spain. It's an actual place, so even though Custodia is a fictional one, it's based on an actual place that's in the southmost part of Spain and is recognized as a historical nationality. The region has rich culture and a strong Spanish identity. Many cultural phenomena that are seen internationally as distinctively Spanish are largely or entirely Andalusian in origin. So just getting back to the game, it was just a side note to give you guys a better understanding of like what the influences are in the game, like what the architecture is like, and even a lot of the art you guys will see through this intro has a lot of influence and has a lot of background from Spain. So getting back to it, Custodia is hallowed by a force known as the miracle. This force manifests itself in a strange and often cruel ways, sometimes blessing and sometimes cursing Custodia's inhabitants, transforming them into twisted creatures. The protagonist, named the penitent one, which means feeling sorrow for a wrong that one has done, travels through this land fighting twisted creatures and that are cursed by the great miracle as he unravels the story and his place in it. So that is the cover for it. It's a really fun, really interesting, and in some ways pretty gory platform game. And I will show you guys an intro, or trailer rather, so you guys can get a better idea of what this game is like, followed by some more beautiful artwork. So that was it. That was the intro. It's such a beautiful game. I mean, the way the pixel art is done is absolutely amazing. I think that's what really captivated my attention. It's not your typical 3D rendered game, but it's so well done. The colors, the cinematography, I mean, the creativity, all the characters is phenomenal. I think it's yeah, one of the best platform games that I've seen yet. And I had the chance to actually play it, and it's very challenging. It's incredibly challenging. In fact, sometimes to a point where I was like, "Hey, I gotta go and do some work. Like, I can't keep going back on this." But I did finish it off, and it's a great game. There's still a lot more that's going on. They're making constant updates. They're including new features, new monsters, new bosses, new worlds to explore. But yeah, I just simply don't have time right now to do all that. But I do have time to show you guys the artwork that's in there. And you guys will see. So this is going to be a spoiler alert to some of you. If you guys haven't played the game yet, keep in mind this is going to reveal some things. But it's still nothing like playing the game itself and really seeing what the environments are like and getting into it. The music is great as well, I forgot to mention. Just all of it put together is excellent. And yeah, you guys will see through this what's going on. These are just some of the characters that you're going to come across in the game. This character, especially his response, he's like somebody who kind of guides and gives you more ideas of what's going on, what the Great Miracle was like, and yeah, just unfolds the story a bit more. And this is just, I guess it's showing the transition of the character, you know, how it started out and where it was eventually towards the end of it. So yeah, his name is De Gracias, since it is one of the most important characters in a game. De Gracias combines aesthetic elements typical of penitents of Spanish and Latin American Holy Week, such as the velvet robe, the strings that hold it as a belt, and even the parchment, which can be seen in some of the oldest processions in Andalusia. In addition, De Gracias covers his face with a wicker placement, a traditional element in the kitchens of southern Spain, which helps him sift his thick voice, affected by El Milagro. So you guys could see that a lot of the stuff that they do, that they design, it is actually based on the history of Spain and other elements in history that influence it, which is really cool, actually. I really like that about it. I'm not going to go through each of the characters, but there are some interesting ones. Like this one, for example, was incredibly interesting, and the history for this character is really interesting as well. It says, this large, grotesque character is inspired by this civilian legend of Santa Librada, whose origin dates back in the 18th century. This legend tells how one of the young adopted daughters of the King of Portugal, forced to marry the King of Sicily, avoided her wedding by imploring God to become a horrible and repulsive being to provoke the rejection of her fiancé. Thereafter, abundant hair grew on the face and body of the young woman in order to fill her plea. After the rupture of the commitment by the scandalized King of Sicily, the King of Portugal considered that his daughter had committed an act of heresy and condemned her to die on the cross. With the passage of time, it has been known that this type of symptoms suffered by the young woman can occur in some extreme cases of anorexia. Santa Librada, as it was later known, is sometimes depicted in folklore as a crucified bearded woman. So yeah, you come across this massive creature and in the game itself, and this is what she actually looks like. This is like, I guess they took this part out of the game itself, just to give you guys idea of like the pixel art. You know, this is the pixel art for the game. This is just like a visual illustration of it. And I want to say that I like the art. It's really interesting. It's like, there was a part of me when I first started looking at this book, I was like, man, they really could have hired like excellent artists to do it. But as I go through it, it kind of grows and it fits the whole theme, I want to say. You know, I feel like if it was too refined, it might have not. It might have took it away from its like mythical sort of feel to it. But it's still great art. I'm not going to knock it. I really do enjoy it. So yeah, this is the massive character that you're going to see. It actually has like 3 faces on there. Here's more work from there. Now this, I think, Viridiana. I'm not really sure if I actually came across her when I was playing the game. Here's another one right here. This is another character that I've come across as well. Very cool. Very creative, you know, just their combination of different things. And you could see the main character right at the bottom in front of this figure holding the horn. You could see his pointed hat on the bottom there, just in terms of scale. So you see a baby, basically, but it's gigantic. And it's born through like this monster that the main character, the protagonist, slays. So more interesting work there. And it says, when you humbled yourself before the most holy body, you have been granted the presence of the golden visage, custodian of one of the 3 sorrows of the soul and penance. Holy guardian visage, which is this character. And then there's Candelaria, which is basically a merchant that you come across in the game, and she carries all these like special items and special things that improve the character and his powers, which is pretty cool. You'll come across her in the game. Then there is this guy, I want to say his name is Redento, and he's like this tortured soul basically, but he also offers you guidance through the game. You'll come across him several times. Here it was also, it's written about him. It says, here is also our desire to recreate in this concept the appearance of a Spanish painting of the Golden Age, 16th and 17th century. The idea of adding a botillo tied to the neck was the key element to give that Andalusian touch, which became essential in the art of Blasphemous. And here you'll come across, I guess, Watchman. He is the Watchman. And he also helps, this is like just a cutout from the pixel art. In the game, actually, you will see him this way. This is a land that you traverse through as well. Lady of the 6 Sorrows. And you're going to see a lot of these in the next slideshow that I'm going to show you guys, which is going to be pixel art. So this is kind of the entire reason why I decided to like show this game, is because it really shows how beautiful pixel art can be. You know, putting the time and effort into it, it's what people would, or at least what I would think of when I would think of pixel art, I would think of like Mario or Zelda or something. And I think this game kind of takes it to the next level. There's plenty of other ones that are great as well, but this one has recently caught my attention, and it has since it launched on Kickstarter. It was put on Kickstarter, and I believe I contributed to it as well, just to get some special what are they called, tiers or whatnot. Now this one is also pretty twisted, and I guess it's the same idea. The giant who holds his son turned into a wax statue is inspired by an old oil painting of 1631, The Bearded Woman, which is called Magdalena Ventura with her husband, by Jose de Ribera. I'm going to try to pronounce it. Españoleto. It was customary in Spain during the 16th and 17th centuries to portray people of unusual appearance, and Magdalena suffered a disease that is currently known as hirsutism, whose symptoms cause facial hair growth, baldness, and a serious voice. The artist painted Magdalena with an entirely masculine appearance, breastfeeding her baby, which is a very impressive image at the time. On one of the sides of the painting, there is a gravestone that reads, "The Great Miracle of Nature." Currently, the painting is exhibited at the Prado Museum in Madrid. In Blasphemous, we use this inspiration to create Cesario, the giant father who breastfeeds his baby, a chest cut from the body of his late mother and swoon in the center of his own torso. El Milagro Doloroso, the sorrowful miracle, agreed to the father's plea, but instead of milk, melted wax sprouted from the giant's chest, causing the baby to transform into an inert wax statue. Pretty gruesome. There's some twisted, and when I was saying twisted creatures, there's some twisted creatures in this game, and I think that's one of the reasons what makes this such an interesting game. Here are just some illustrations showing you guys some monsters that you come across as well, and this is something that was in the preview. It was a guy that's like underneath this broken bell that charges towards you, and it's just cool to see how there are many different concepts. As you guys could see, there's the main character all the way on the right side, waiting for this guy to charge him. But as you could see, there's multiple takes, so it's like from 1 until 17. There were just 17 images that the illustrator made as a presentation, just to give you guys an idea of what the process is like for concept art. And this was the final one. This shy, crapulent entity uses a huge broken bell as if it were a turtle shell. This is one of the most outlandish alternative uses for bells in Blasphemous, a crucial and indispensable element in every church. This is another one that you come across, which is like this being that's tied to a massive bell, and it's like a ghost basically that follows you around and rings this bell as it follows you through. Pretty cool concept. Also, you could see silhouettes just showing general ideas, change of costume appearance, change in the bell. If you look at each one of them, the bell is kind of different, and also like the garb that he's wearing. This one is also pretty disturbing as well. I think the image speaks for itself. And then this one, the Headless Chamberlain. The design of this head launcher is composed of several very characteristic elements, such as the gola, or gorgora, a garment used by the important members of the aristocracy and the political and cultural life of Spain in the 16th and 17th centuries. The headless creature holds a velvet cushion based on those used at the time to carry valuable relics. The heads of children with golas are based on the cherubs in the paintings of the Immaculate Conception, 1662, by the famous Spanish painter Murillo. So you guys could see that a lot of this game actually has painting influences. So, and as I was talking about it before, in the beginning of the intro, is just to give you an idea that, these elements are historically based. So just as I was discussing in a previous stream, how important and how vital it is to draw from all different forms, whether it's references, real life, in this case, paintings, even drawing inspiration from paintings, which you guys will see the further we get into it. And here's another creature, and more concept art. I believe it's 1 through 11. Well, 1 through 14, I guess. Just showing many different, in some cases, the pose of the hand or the arm, how she's holding the statue that's tied to her. The statue itself, showing many different types of statues. Designs for them in silhouette form. These are just more creatures that you come across. And they keep growing. Like as I said, their creativity is abundant. Like you play the game and you download the new ones, the new DLCs, I guess, and it just keeps expanding, which I think is excellent. So much to do, so little time. I wish I had enough time to actually do all that stuff and play the game thoroughly. More creatures that you come across. This one is pretty cool. The Percheron is really annoying. It's probably one of the most annoying ones that you'll come across. At least for me. I don't know. They might be pretty easy to kill, but they're just hard to finagle. And I really like the consistency of style. Like it still, this is something I was mentioning before when another fan of the Art Lounge, Ali, was talking about pixel art, and what really brought this back into memory. This is like when a painting comes to life and it actually has a sword that it's holding and starts attacking you, which is pretty cool. The ghost prince, I guess I want to say, that attacks you as well. So all of these creatures who are morphed by the Great Miracle. These are some bosses that you're going to come across, which you guys have seen in the preview as well. This is the very last one, but actually the first that you'll battle. Some of the more bosses that you're going to come across as well. And this is very cool. I really like the mask of like the hands that are basically covering the face. It's pretty awesome. This is the baby that you saw that tore the protagonist in half. Nothing as ruthless as a child with curiosity. More bosses. Let's see if there's okay. Melquiades was first shown in Blasphemous Kickstarter campaign. Its design is based on the so-called jeweled saints, or saints of the catacombs, which were bodies found in Rome in the 16th century in underground chambers excavated in the 1st century of Christianity. They were identified as early martyrs because they had the letter M marked on the skull. After being unearthed, they were sent to other places in Europe where the different religious congregations ended up dressing them with luxurious clothes and a multitude of jewels donated by the nobility, covering all their bodies and even donning wax masks that soften the dark aspects of the skeletal faces. This is also another boss that you come across. His Holiness Escobar. And as you could see, the size in comparison with the character all the way at the bottom left corner, it's pretty gigantic with all these multiple hands. I don't remember this one. This is probably a new one, I want to say, or it might have been like a territory I didn't explore. It's a pretty cool one as well. So it seems like they hired multiple type of artists, because I don't think that the first few that you've seen are similar to the art style of this person. Whoever did the top image. Pretty woman. Beautiful. And you guys are going to see some terrains here as well. And that's one of the most appealing things about it as well. These I think are just digital, but at the bottom and here you actually see all this is pixel art. So the entire game is, like you looking at it here, I believe the one on the bottom is more of the pixel art that you would see. And some elements of the top as well. And this is what I was talking about as far as like Andalusian architecture as well. This is the Candelaria, her tent. When you come across a door, you enter, and you could buy all the different neat little trinkets she has to improve the character and the protagonist. This is a pretty cool scene as well. There's just so much that goes into it. You know, there's all these different concept designs, and you could see how big of a role illustrators play in the design prior to creating the game itself. This is the save point when you come across the game. It's like one of the things you're hoping you could come across, because the game is so difficult and you die so many times. You're just like, when am I going to get to one of these so that I could keep going? Because one of the things about it is if you die, you start off from the point that you last saved, a common thing. And it happens so frequently that you're just anticipating until you come across one of those. And I guess it kind of adds to the whole element of the game, right? That the game is has such grotesque things, and it's supposed to be like instill some form of fear, you know, to some degree. Obviously you're not like quivering in your boots and stuff, but it does give you some unease about it, right? Just with the illustrations, with the monsters that you come across as the bosses, and as well as the gameplay adds to that angst, because it is so difficult and you're just like, oh my god, am I going to see that save point? You know, it all comes together to be this vibe about the game. Adds to the vibe of the game. Different things you come across. This is more pixel art. Now you see this is some concept designs that they made. This is like the front of the game. This right here, I think, is beautiful. I think this is one of the best fan art concepts. And it shows who the artist is at the bottom. This is also a pretty good one. It has an interesting vibe about it. Also well done. Beautiful work. So that does it pretty much for the book. You guys can purchase that book as well. It's available. I am going to show you guys some art done by Andre Gogia. I want to say his name right. Gogia? Andre Gogia. And he did a lot of the pixel art in the game. So this is his collection basically that you guys are going to be seeing. I just wanted to show you guys how far pixel art can go. I mean, just looking at the armor, right? Like looking at the shoulder pad, it is pretty amazing. Very intricate detail. This is one of the bosses as well. Some pixel art animation. This is the artist showing off his other skill. These monsters are new. I don't remember coming across these at all. But also very cool. Like, I like how his arms are tied by this trumpet that he plays. While they're like, I guess fungus is growing all over his legs. And then this character is the most disturbing one. That's the one I was talking about earlier, the other day, of like this kid who you keep coming back to the room that he's in, and you could see his like feet are nailed to this board. You keep coming back and it just keeps growing little by little until eventually, yeah, it just completely comes out. So disturbing. So as you guys could see, it's a very Disney-like atmosphere in this game. The complete opposite. It's like really grotesque looking monsters, and this is something that you guys saw in the beginning in the concept art and what it looks like. And I think the pixel art is pretty amazing. I think it really brings out the character. These are the people of Custodia, and they're being affected by the great miracle. More amazing pixel animation. I'm just showing you guys the process of animating the figure. I think this is one of the creature on the left is one of the first few that you come across. And this is what I was talking about before, influence of painting. So this is an actual painting. It's an old school painting. And you can see how that plays into the characters at the top left. So just examples of how artists that are creating really interesting content borrow from all sorts of things, all sorts of parts of history, parts of paintings. It doesn't always, and the reason why I emphasize it being important is because sometimes it could be intimidating if you're learning to draw and you're looking at the stuff and you're wondering like, well, do I have the creativity to come up with this stuff? Like, how do they make all these characters? How do they have like this endless amount of imagination to come up with these ideas? And this just goes to show, and of course I'm not discrediting those who do come up with a lot of great ideas from their imagination, but it just goes to show that you can use stuff that has been created and shape your work to be like it. And in some cases it could be just like it, in other cases it could be a rendition of it, where you change things around and you make it your own in some ways. It could be all those things combined together. I personally like the latter. I like the idea of taking something and then changing it around and seeing how much of my own creativity can bring out something really cool and interesting as well. But yeah, it's just to kind of make it a little bit easier for you guys to understand that it doesn't only have to come from imagination, and that all these it's impossible unless you are incredibly creative to pursue the career or do whatever it is. Like, it really just takes a lot of practice, a lot of dedication and time, especially to doing research, to look at things, to constantly collect references. If you come across something online that you really like or you find really interesting or cool, to save it as your go-to when you make things up or you come up with things. This is a cool one too. I like this ghost that's reading and is obsessed with books. And this awful creature and him poke in the face that's gradually growing in his body. Oh, it's so disturbing. It's really disturbing. And then this is what happens after all that. Like, you come back for the last time, I guess, and you see that the kid has passed away. I believe it's just this like breathing old man. Awful. And this concludes the special intro, y'all. This pretty much took up the entire stream as I thought it might. There's still some time which I am gonna spend doing my personal work as well. But I hope you guys enjoyed this as much as I did. I thought it was a really interesting collection of art altogether, especially the art book that talks about each and every single part. And that's why I recommend you guys purchase it for yourself, so that way you can actually take the time to read what the history is behind it, what their influence is like, and get some interesting details from it. Alright, y'all, so I'm going to jump into what I was doing earlier. With the 15 minutes of time left, I'm going to be designing, or working on rather, more of this image. I did work off stream some time on it, mainly focusing on a background, just trying to fix some things up in a corner up here, because I feel like it really needed more attention. But there is something I feel like about this character that I need to correct. Oops. over the weekend, I'm going to spend more time on the other special intro, which I believe is going to have to be cut into multiple, because I think it might be even longer than this intro. Like, it might be that I'm going to spend like just half an hour. For this stream, I knew that it was going to just be a one-time thing, despite it being for the most part of the stream. But the next special intro has a lot of really interesting artists, and they have beautiful work that play a big role in history, illustration history, I believe. And I'd like to really introduce you guys to them and show you their work, show you guys their achievements, and talk about their influence and just generally the history of it. Looking through all those images and talking about all these references and stuff, and even the art book, talking about all the different references, just reminded me of actually checking out a folder that I had saved strictly for that. Strictly for more references for poses, like figure poses that I found interesting, ideas, and that sort of thing. Maybe I'm going to skip this one. No, I'm definitely going to skip it. Come on, Pretzel. Do me right. And I don't think it wants to. Just sounds like a Folgers commercial. The idea was for this guy was to have like a puffy jacket, but it's kind of starting to look like a corn jacket. Damn, social media might be influencing my my design. Now it's just I have to look at more references when it comes to puffy jackets, because I have one myself and I'm just kind of going off of my memory of like what it looks like as opposed to really taking time and looking at references. Well, ladies and gents, this is slowly coming to an end for this week. I will be back next week for more figure drawing basics, more project stream, more coloring comics stream, more drawing comics as well. All of those, as well as another special intro. So if you guys enjoy this content, make sure you remember to hit that like button and subscribe button. You'll get notification when I'm going live. And check out the Patreon page. Maybe there's a tier there for you that you are interested in. You can access that in the About section of this Twitch channel, along with other social media platforms. With that said, y'all, enjoy your weekend, and I will see you next week.